Hello and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be doing a plan with me and setting up the month of April. And as a bonus, I'm also going to be doing my final bi-weekly of March, which will be for the 27th through the 31st. So if you'd like to see how I set these up, just keep watching. So I've already planned these out in pencil, but you can see the background is something I set up in my last video, which was about watercoloring with Tombow markers. So if you're curious of how to do that, it'll also work with other markers. Just check out the link that's in the top right corner. Right now I'm setting up a really small social media stat tracker, and it's just for my Instagram followers and my YouTube subscribers. I write those down every few days. I think I have it on Monday and Wednesday and Friday. And if you didn't know, I just reached 1,000 subscribers, which is amazing. So thank you all for watching and for liking these videos, because I love making them for you. Right now, I'm writing out the calendar for March and April. This is just as a reference, so I can look back on it when I'm setting up my monthly log or when I'm doing my daily logs. I also made a second banner for things to look forward to in the next month, or appointments and things that I didn't want to forget, so I can reference this when I am doing my daily logs or when I am doing my monthly log. I'm writing out this title with my favorite marker, the Faber-Castell Pitt Artist Pen in the big brush. This is what I do all of my titles with. There are only a few videos that I haven't used this as a title, and those are when they're specific to what the video is about, like when I did my Tombow watercolor or when I did the Crayola calligraphy lessons. Right now I'm writing a quote with the Tombow Fudenosuke in the blue, which is the softer tip. I like using this one for bigger quotes because it does have thicker lines. The quote that I'm writing says, "Take the first step," and I'm writing this because I struggle with starting things, and I just wanted to motivate myself by writing this on my monthly log. On the left page, you can see one of my daily logs from Saturday. I've been keeping track of my coffee, water, and sleep so that I can move it to my coffee, water, and sleep graph, in which I track all three of those together. And it's really cool to see how those are interacting. Once March is over, I will do a flip through of my March bullet journal so that you can see how that looks and what happened for it. And again, I'm writing this title with the Pitt Artist Pen in the big brush. Like I said, it's my favorite for titles. If you want to see the rest of the markers I use in my journal, make sure to check out my favorite markers video, which is linked in the top right corner. I decided to make my monthly calendar a little bit bigger this time. In my previous monthly layouts, I've done a smaller calendar, but I wanted to make it a little bit bigger so that I was able to see it. And I'm going to write just a little dot next to the days that I have bills due. On this side of the paper, I am doing my habit tracker. And this actually hasn't changed that much since I started bullet journaling. The only difference is I've added or taken away a few things. And then I've also switched from coloring the boxes to just making a dot. And I really like how this turns out. It looks really minimal and encourages me to fill it out because I don't have to worry about what color I'm using or filling in the boxes. I just have to put a dot and then I'm done. I know some people love them and other people hate habit trackers, but they have been my favorite part of the bullet journal so far because it really makes me take stock of what things I have done every single day, and even if I don't fill it out that day, I go back every few days and make sure that I filled out those days, because it's really cool to look back and see a record of my habits over the past few months, or when I look back on this years later. Now I'm just going to go back in with my Tombow number N15 and write a title. This is a little different font than I usually use. I just wanted to mix it up and play with capitals and lowercase. And I also really like the thick downstroke on there and a little decoration for it. If you've seen my previous monthly setups or follow me on Instagram, then this looks a little different than my past monthly setups, and that's just because I wanted to move my bills to a different page so that I can see them all at once, kind of see how they progress over time, because it's interesting to see how much things like my electricity bill are over time and to see how they increase or decrease. Also, I don't want to show my bills in these videos, so it makes it a little easier if they're on a different page, so I don't have to cover them up with a post-it. This is going to be part one of my setup, and that's just because I wanted to take the time and have it at a slow enough speed that you could see what I was doing, but if I did that it would be crazy long, so I'm just going to split it into two videos and speed up the parts that I can. So you saw I wrote the word action with one of my Tombows. I decided to go with orange this time, the number 925, because I wanted to bring out the orange on the right side page, because when I watercolored with these, that was the color I used. And I'm sorry if there's a ton of crazy noises in the background. There is a crow that's cawing right outside my window, and then also geese that are on top of the roof, and cars that are driving by, so it It's really loud in the background, but I want to record this and get it out there to you. If you're curious about my hand lettering, I've done a few videos in the past about it. One of them is with Crayola markers, and I'll link that playlist up in the top right corner, so it'll be all of my hand lettering videos. I'm not sure how I feel about the font of the smaller letters on this quote, but it doesn't really matter too much to me because I was experimenting, and I try not to stress out too much about anything in this journal because it's all a work in progress. So this is a quote from Pablo Picasso, and it says, "Action is the foundational key to all success." And I thought it was a really good quote for my monthly log because I'll look back on it every day and hopefully motivate myself more. Then I'm going back with a different Tombow. This is the reddish orange one. This one is number 885, and all I'm doing is putting a little bit of color on the base of all of the big letters, and then I plan on going back to blend it out, but it looks a little bit like fire, which I really like. In addition to all those other crazy noises outside, somebody has started using their weed whacker, so I am so sorry for all of the noise in the background of this video, and also for the fact that I didn't realize the bottom word wasn't in the frame, but you will see what I did once I move it. After I'm done with the orange red, I go back again with the yellow, which is number 055. You couldn't really tell that I had put a color on there, but I'd started, so I wanted to do the whole thing consistently the same. I like using these binder clips whenever I watercolor, but they get in the way every time I try to write on my paper. But I decided to go back in with my watercolor and go over the words with kind of a pinkish red. And all I'm going to do is go over each of the big letters with this pink, trying to keep most of the pink on the bottom but letting it fade out. And since Tombows are water soluble, this will give it a really nice kind of watercolor blended effect, which I really love. And this is also a really great way to start using watercolors in your bullet journal if you're afraid of how your pages will react to it or if they'll go through. This is a nice way to kind of test it out and see what happens. I'm watercoloring the word action at normal speed if you are curious, and then once I'm done with that word, I'm going to speed it up for the rest of it, especially because you can't see the word success on the bottom, but you can see I'm going very slowly and starting at the bottom, putting all the pink and kind of dragging it upwards. And I do that with each of the letters, putting the pink right on the base and then moving it upwards. And I try not to work with it too much because I want it to have a really nice gradient effect. And you can see that my paintbrush is a little bit to the side, and the reason I'm doing that is I would like it to be one thick, solid line when I'm doing this lettering. I really loved how this watercoloring turned out and kind of blended the whole thing together. It really did look like a gradient and added more pink to the page because it was very orange, and I wanted to have it a little softer, which watercolor definitely helps with. So I'll just finish out the rest of this quote and talk to you in a little bit. Once I was done watercoloring the quote, I wanted to incorporate more of the watercolor onto this page, and since I wrote my calendar with a Pigma graphic in the number 1, which is waterproof, I decided to add a little bit of watercolor to it, and then it didn't have enough orange, so I just used some of the marker as a watercolor and added orange to it. So this is the first page of my April monthly setup. I will be doing a part 2 of this video in which I set up my other trackers, like my coffee, water, and sleep tracker and my gratitude log, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on when that video comes out. Other than that, I hope you have a great week, and thanks for watching!